Robert McNamara died overnight. He was President Kennedy and President Lyndon Johnson's Secretary of Defence, and he dragged America into the Vietnam War. In Vietnam, they call this conflict the American War. It's all a question of perspective. The US Secretary of Defence was Secretary of War until 1949, and that's a question of perspective too. Under McNamara, US troop numbers went up from 500,000 to 500,000. But 30 years later, he saw the folly of his warmongering, and he realised how wrong he'd been. In 2003, he was the subject of a confessional film, the Academy Award-winning The Fog of War. Lesson 1, he said in the film, was to empathise with your enemy. In China's western provinces, 140 people whose names we will never know are dead overnight in war between two ethnic groups. In the Holy Lands, a lovely expression, violence continued yesterday between two almost identical ethnic groups separated by their choice of God, and there is little sympathy for the enemy in Burnside or North Terrace or in banking or commerce. McNamara actually became president of the World Bank after his politics. But, he said, belief and seeing are often both wrong. We see what we want to see, believe what we want to believe. We see government yesterday tell us that they've tackled homelessness in Adelaide and believe it. 8,000 South Australians slept homelessly overnight, some in freezing temperatures outdoors. McNamara's 11th lesson in The Fog of War was, you can't change human nature. We can't change one Chinese going to war against another. Can't convince Alexander Downer of his folly and stupidity in going to war with Defence Secretary Donald Rumsfeld in Iraq. Can't solve the Middle East. But we can applaud the spirit of someone like Martin Hamilton Smith, who generously seemed to empathise with his enemies when he quit the Liberal leadership yesterday. It's true we can't change human nature, but the good news is that we're personally responsible for our own.